Paris, the city of love, lights, and art, is a dream destination for many travelers around the world. As I walked out of the Charles de Gaulle airport and took a deep breath of the fresh Parisian air, I knew that my long-awaited vacation had officially begun. My first stop was the Eiffel Tower, one of the most iconic structures in the world. As I stood underneath the tower, I was struck by its sheer size and grandeur. I took the elevator to the top and was rewarded with an incredible view of the city. The sun was just beginning to set, casting a golden glow over the entire city. It was a breathtaking sight, and one that I will never forget. The next day, I wandered through the narrow streets of the Latin Quarter, stopping at cafes and bakeries along the way. I sampled croissants, macarons, and other French pastries, and each one was more delicious than the last. I also visited the Notre Dame Cathedral, which was undergoing renovations but was still a magnificent sight to behold. One of my favorite experiences in Paris was visiting the Louvre Museum. I spent hours wandering through the galleries, admiring some of the world's most famous artworks, including the Mona Lisa and the Venus de Milo. The museum was crowded, but the beauty of the artwork made it all worth it. Another highlight of my trip was exploring the Montmartre neighborhood. This bohemian area is known for its picturesque streets, charming cafes, and stunning views of the city. I climbed the hill to the top of the Sacré-Cœur Basilica and watched as the sun set over the city below. It was a magical moment that I will always remember. Of course, no trip to Paris would be complete without sampling the city's famous cuisine. I dined on escargot, foie gras, and steak frites, and each meal was a culinary delight. The French take their food seriously, and it shows in the quality of every dish. As my trip came to a close, I realized that I had fallen in love with Paris. The city's beauty, history, and culture had captured my heart, and I knew that I would have to return someday. But for now, I was grateful for the memories I had made and the experiences that I had shared. Paris, je t'aime. On my final day in Paris, I took a stroll along the Seine River and watched as the boats cruised by. The river is lined with beautiful bridges, including the famous Pont Alexandre III, which is adorned with gold statues and intricate carvings. I also visited the Champs-Élysées, one of the most famous streets in the world, and wandered through the luxury boutiques and cafes. In the evenings, I explored the city's nightlife. I visited the Moulin Rouge, the famous cabaret that has been entertaining audiences for over a century. The show was a feast for the senses, with dazzling costumes, acrobatics, and music. I also visited some of the city's trendy bars and clubs, and was impressed by the vibrant and diverse nightlife scene. One of the things that I loved about Paris was the sense of history that permeates the city. Everywhere I went, I saw evidence of the city's rich past, from the medieval architecture to the grand boulevards built by Napoleon. I visited the Palace of Versailles, the opulent home of French kings and queens, and was awed by the grandeur of the palace and its gardens. As my time in Paris came to a close, I realized that there was still so much to see and do in this incredible city. But I also knew that I had experienced some of the best that Paris had to offer. I had walked in the footsteps of artists and intellectuals, tasted the finest French cuisine, and been inspired by the city's beauty and history. Paris had exceeded my expectations in every way, and I couldn't wait to come back again someday. Paris is a city filled with fascinating facts and history. As I wandered through its streets, I discovered some interesting tidbits about the city and its people. Did you know that the Eiffel Tower was initially built as a temporary structure for the 1889 World's Fair? It was intended to be dismantled after the fair, but its popularity led to its permanent installation as a beloved Parisian landmark. Paris is also known as the City of Light, but it's not just because of its beautiful illuminations. The city was the birthplace of the Enlightenment, a period of intellectual and cultural growth that had a profound impact on Europe and the world. Another interesting fact about Paris is that it has a unique sewage system known as the égouts. These underground tunnels were built in the mid-19th century to help combat the city's sanitation problems. Today, visitors can take a tour of the égouts and learn more about this important part of Parisian history. Paris is also home to one of the world's most famous museums, the Louvre. The museum's collection includes over 35,000 works of art, including some of the most famous paintings in the world, such as the Mona Lisa and the Venus de Milo. But Paris is not just a city of art and history. It's also a city of fashion. Paris is known as one of the fashion capitals of the world, with some of the most famous fashion houses located in the city, including Chanel, Dior, and Yves Saint Laurent. Finally, Paris is a city that loves its food. French cuisine is renowned for its flavor and sophistication, and Paris is home to some of the world's most famous restaurants, including Le Jules Verne, which is located in the Eiffel Tower. As I walked through the streets of Paris, I was struck by the richness of its history, culture, and traditions. From the iconic landmarks to the vibrant food scene, Paris truly has something for everyone.